The story begins by showcasing a miniature house crafted with intricate artistry. The camera zooms toward that small house, and we learn that a family lives in the house where this miniature is lying. The old woman in this family has died, and the family is going to her funeral. The family includes the old woman's daughter, whose name is Annie, her husband, and 2 children, a boy Peter and a girl Charlie. Annie's daughter was quite strange from the beginning. She used to do weird things as well as strange things, like sleeping in a small house, even in the harsh winter, or wearing strange clothes. And apart from being a girl, her body was like a big person, meaning she was not normal at all. When the family reached Annie's mother's funeral, there were a lot of strangers there. As Annie was giving the funeral speech, her daughter made a very strange voice. Annie was wearing a strange pointed locket, and just like that, the locket was also around her mother's neck. The presence of the strangers was surprising, but it was even more surprising when a man looked at Annie's daughter and smiled, and she also started looking at him. After the funeral, the family returned home. We learned that Annie was a miniature artist, and the initial miniature house was made by her. She was always worried and filled with sorrow. Annie's son Peter was also strange and addicted to cigarettes and many other drugs. Annie's husband was the only one in her family who was normal till then. When her daughter went to sleep at night, she asked her mother, Annie, who would take care of her after her grandmother's death. Annie said she would, as she was her mother. Hearing this, her daughter asked a very strange question. Who would take care of her when Annie died? Annie, scared, eventually said her brother Peter would take care of her. Annie told her that her mother, the grandmother, loved her the most, so much that she did not let Annie come near her in childhood and used to feed her milk herself. Her daughter replied that the grandmother wanted a boy, but when she was born, the grandmother loved her out of helplessness after putting her daughter to sleep. Annie started checking her mother's belongings and found a note. In the note, Ellen apologized to her, saying that Annie would be sacrificed to everyone, which would be very precious, and in return, she would also be given a reward. The mother's purpose in saying this was to give a message to Annie. The next day, as Annie's daughter was sitting in class, a bird suddenly came out of the window and hit it hard, dying. There was a scissor in the same class, and Annie's daughter used it to remove the neck of the dead bird. After damaging the throat, Annie's daughter kept the head in her pocket. As she was going home, a woman was seen standing on the other side, who was constantly looking at Annie's daughter. The family decided to close Annie's mother's room. Before that, a room was shown with a lot of evil rituals and signs of magic, pointing to a demon, evil, and black magic. Annie's husband then received a call that someone had dug up Annie's mother's grave and taken out her dead body. Knowing this, he was very worried, but kept this secret from his family so as not to bother Annie. The following day, Annie attended a session with a group where strangers came to relieve the burden of their hearts by talking to each other, becoming good friends. Here, she told strange things about her mother, stating her mother was a little crazy. She wanted to put someone else inside her brother, but her brother took his life out of worry. After that, her dad also died for some reason. She also mentioned her mother was so strange that she could control people with a strange power, through which she used to put something in males, bringing them under her control. That's why when her son Peter was born, she didn't let him go to her mother. But when her daughter was born, because she was a girl, Annie allowed her to go to her mother, and maybe this is why her daughter is so strange today and doesn't look normal. Now, Annie's daughter was in her room when she suddenly saw a strange bright light pointing her toward a field. When she went to the field, there was a man sitting in the middle of a fire, doing some evil ritual. Her daughter was looking carefully when Annie came and pulled her inside. Peter's friend called him to a party, and Peter was ready to go. Annie sent her daughter with him so he wouldn't drink alcohol. At the party, Peter enjoyed himself and started smoking. His sister was getting bored, ate a cake that had dry fruit, and because she was allergic, she started suffocating and getting sick. Peter got very nervous, immediately took her in the car, and left for the hospital. On the way, his sister took her head out of the window to breathe. Suddenly, an animal came in front of the car. To avoid collision, Peter drove the car straight to the side, where there was a wooden pillar. His sister's head hit the pillar so hard that she died there, so terribly that her head fell off the body and onto the road. Peter was very sad, went into shock, and quietly came to his room and lay down without telling his parents anything. The next morning, when Annie and her husband found out about their daughter's death, both were very sad, and Annie cried continuously until the funeral, unable to come out of the shock. After this incident, the family's behavior became very strange with each other. To get rid of this sorrow, Annie decided to go back to the session group. As she was about to leave in her car, a woman came and introduced herself as her neighbor. She was very sad about the sudden death of Annie's daughter at a young age. The neighbor told Annie that her own son and grandson recently died due to drowning. She could understand Annie's pain, having gone through it herself. She offered to help Annie get out of her sorrow and gave Annie the address of her house before leaving. The next day, Annie went to meet her and saw a strange carpet at the door. She recognized it, as if she had seen this or this kind of carpet before. The woman opened the door, invited Annie inside, and they started talking and became friends. Annie told the neighbor that she had been sleepwalking for many years. She recounted a sleepwalking incident where she was going to put petrol on her children and set them on fire. But she came to her senses at the right time and stopped. She explained that since that day, her relationship with Peter was not good because he believed she was his adversary and tried to kill her. Own children coming home? Annie was making a miniature art of her daughter's death, her dead body lying on the side with her head falling apart. Seeing this, her husband got very upset. That night, as the family ate, Peter got angry at Annie, saying the death was her fault because she insisted on sending her with him, though he didn't know how she died on the way back. Annie also got very angry, screaming that all this happened because of him. And since the daughter was with him when she died, he must have killed her. Annie's husband, seeing this, calmed them both down. It was clear that the family's distances were increasing. The next day, Annie met the neighbor woman again while shopping in a store. The woman told Annie she had recently done a ritual to contact her dead grandson's soul and wanted to talk to him. She took Annie to her house with many requests and really talked to her grandson's soul, showing it to Annie. The clever woman advised Annie to try it, to talk to her daughter's soul and call her there. She told Annie to just take one thing from her daughter, read some mantras, and she would get in touch with her soul. That night, Annie, while sleepwalking, went to Peter's room and saw tiny ants on his face, entering his eyes, mouth, and nose. It was determined that Annie was dreaming all this, having come here by sleepwalking in her dream. In the dream, Peter asked his mom what problems she had with him and why she was always after him. Annie replied that she never wanted him. She said her mom begged her to give birth to him because she wanted a boy. Annie even wanted to kill him, but didn't know how he survived. Peter was bored, and the next moment, Annie woke up from her sleep, realizing it was just a dream. She immediately went to her husband and son, told them about the ritual process, and started the process to call her daughter's soul as the woman wished. As soon as the process started, peculiar occurrences began to transpire, like Annie suddenly talking in a drowsy voice to her son, and candles burning on their own. Peter was very scared, so his dad threw water on Annie's face to stop the process, breaking it. Annie came to her senses, but did not remember anything that just happened. Perhaps because her daughter's soul had come inside her. The next day, Annie was very worried and angrily broke all her miniature art. Peter's picture started appearing on its own in his diary, which was used in the ritual. The next day at school, Peter looked in the mirror and saw that his real expressions and emotions were completely serious. While his reflection was looking very happy with a smile on his face, Annie tried to burn her daughter's diary, but where earlier the diary was not catching fire, when it did, Annie was also on fire, forcing her to extinguish the fire of the diary. Annie was very confused by all these things. To get the answer, she went to the neighbor's house, but didn't find her. There was black magic stuff and a picture of Peter there, with ritual magic being done on his picture. When she looked at the carpet at the door again, she remembered that a carpet just like it was near her mom. She quickly ran home and checked her mom's stuff, finding the exact same carpet and many other carpets in the same design. These were also pointing toward some magic signs. Suspicious, she looked at the photo album and saw the neighbor woman with her mom. It became clear that the woman had been working on Annie's mom's signs from the beginning and was now exceedingly clever. making Annie do the ritual to achieve her goals. Just like her mom, Annie also found a book about souls, ghosts, demons, devils, and black magic. Reading it, Annie learned why all this was being done. Actually, all this was being done for the demon of hell. By doing all this, the cult wanted to give the demon a human body, which can be of any man. Annie's mom was doing this because she was part of a devil group who worshipped the demon Pemon. They considered him their god because the demon Pemon is very powerful, a king of hell, one of the 8 kings there. He is also called a god who troubles people, does mischief with them, and likes to go into the body of the weakest person. To send him inside a person and then take him out, some rituals have to be done. When they were doing this work for so long, Annie's mom first tried to put the demon Pemon in her brother. During all this, he was tortured. Knowing what was going to happen, he got tired and took his life, so he was dead. Annie's mom started looking for another body for the demon Pemon, but because of his actions, Annie was suspicious, so she did not let Peter go to him. And she could not put the demon in Peter, although the demon is male, and the body was also male. Annie's mom put him in Annie's daughter. This is why she was so strange, and told her mom that the boy was royal to her grandmother. Then she made Peter the real target. Before dying, she made a great plan, supported by her friend, the neighbor woman. The neighbor woman was deliberately trying to befriend Annie because she had to somehow. Complete the cult's plan of putting the demon's soul inside Peter. After knowing all this, Annie checked the attic, the small room above her house. She saw her mom's dead body there, which did not even have a head. The summary here is that the dead body was actually taken out of her grave by her cult people, then beheaded and kept in the attic, as beheading is also part of their ritual. Suddenly, blood on the roof became the mark of the demon. The mark of the demon was also seen in this house on the locket, bed, and carpet. The next day, as Peter was sitting in class, he heard a strange voice that made his body stuck. He hit his head hard on the table, injuring his nose and causing blood to come out. After all this, he became very angry and then so scared that he fell down. The other children in the class were also very tired seeing his condition. His dad came to school and brought Peter back home. Seeing Peter's injured nose, Annie felt very bad. Annie told her husband everything related to her mom, the cult, and the demon, but he didn't believe these things. Thinking she had lost her mind and was going crazy, Annie tried to convince her husband again and again to burn their daughter's diary, as it was the only way connected to the demon and everything would be fine once it burned. Her husband refused because it was obvious that by doing this, Annie would also burn. Without listening, Annie threw the diary into the fire herself. This time, instead of Annie getting burned, her husband got hurt and the fire was not going away but increasing. He died by burning like this. Peter also came to his senses and was very sad to see his dad die to burning. Suddenly something happened to Annie, and she ran after Peter like crazy to kill him. Actually, the demon had now possessed Annie and was controlling her body. Peter got very scared and ran away to save his life, hiding in the attic. Outside, Annie, out of her control, started banging her head loudly on the door. In the attic, Peter also found his grandmother's dead body in a bad condition. He then threw his mom up as she was about to damage his throat. There were a lot of people standing here who were not wearing anything and were looking at Peter very carefully. Peter got scared, broke the glass, and quickly moved outside. Suddenly, a bright light came and entered his body. This light was exactly the same as the one around his sister, from which we understood that the demon had finally taken over Peter's body and entered it. After this, Peter got up and saw his mom in a very strange condition. Flying in the air and going toward the small house outside, he also came to that house. A lot of people who worshipped the demon were there. They all bowed down in front of Peter because the demon Pemon had now come inside him, and they were thinking of him as their god. Then the neighboring woman came, who was very happy because what she had been planning for years was completed. She had found the body of the demon Pemon, the two of Peter, whom she wanted. She put a crown on Peter and called him Demon Pemon. As soon as this happened, all the people also started chanting Pemon because the one they had been worshipping for years was in front of them.